Good morning everyone. In this video I'm going to analyze the live price action for EU and DXY to see what opportunities may be available today. You're going to see my strategy and my analysis, so if you're interested in those then please stick around. Okay, let's start off here as always on the daily with EU on the top, DXY on the bottom. Alright, so what do we see on the daily? Well, Friday closed out as a bearish doji. After our bullish Thursday we did pull back somewhat. Now we still have some small imbalance below that previous daily low, which may draw price to it eventually, don't know when, but it could draw price to that as a source of sell side liquidity before heading up, or it could come and mitigate that on the way down, we don't know. But that's available there. But after all of that momentum from the Thursday, I think a bearish day was quite obvious. So now going into today, we still have our previous daily highs, previous daily lows intact. We have our previous weekly high just above that previous daily high. So there's a lot of buy side liquidity available above these highs as well as a good target. As I mentioned before, this bearish leg here, we've been pulling back into the premium of this very correctively, as you can see, and we still have our extreme order block and imbalance to fill at the top of this premium here. So I believe that's still there as a draw on price and maybe the main area of resistance if we are to continue this bearish trend and mitigate this entire sell side liquidity trend line here. But not to go too much into detail on that on the daily. Now inversely on DXY we have similar. We've been pulling back, right, kind of correctively towards our daily order block and imbalance POI. We've left some inducement there the same way we have on EU for this order block, and it does look like price is still heading towards that. Again, our previous daily highs and lows are still intact, so we haven't swept that nearby buy side or sell side liquidity just yet. So no obvious direction for our daily bias on the daily chart, of course, but there's some options available. So let's go down to the 4 hour and see what that shows us. So onto the 4 hour, you can see how on Friday we took buy side liquidity above these highs here and this previous high and rejected that area, having some sort of bearish push. We filled our 4 hour imbalance that was available in this area of the leg and closed around here. Obviously overnight we didn't move very much into Asia. So we're clearly in a premium in this area of this 4 hour leg here. And below that in price we have another imbalance available for sell side liquidity and a 4 hour order block as a POI. Inversely on DXY we also have that same premium 4 hour order block with imbalance to fill. After rejecting that initial resistance, that order block here, we pulled back aggressively, mitigated another 4 hour order block and have been held there by price. So it looks like price may be heading towards this POI in this area before any continuation in the possible DXY bearish trend towards the daily POI. I do think these POIs here and here will be draws on price. We are in a premium. Of course, we may need to take some buy side liquidity first, so we'll see how that goes. But price has taken buy side liquidity from above these highs, mitigated this area which has held it with some support. But we've failed to make any higher high really to close above these highs. So it does seem as if price is continuing with that bearish pullback trend that we was on. So that's my initial thoughts here from the 4 hour. We have our price draws down here in more of a discount. Price has no bullish momentum after mitigating this imbalance here. We've taken some previous buy side liquidity. So we need to see what price does today and where that lower time frame structure goes, in my opinion. But we have our price draws down here and up here in price after being held by this support. So in regards to my daily bias, I am leaning more towards the bearish side, towards our POI draws on price. Only after, of course, lower time frame structure and buy side liquidity is mitigated. So let's go down to the 1 hour and see what that shows us. On the 1 hour, Thursday, from this massive push from news after we swept the sell side liquidity, we did possibly create a new bullish leg because we broke above these sort of interim highs here. We're yet to close above these highs convincingly, but either way, we have possible bullish leg here. and we left behind a massive imbalance and 1 hour order block, which, as I've drawn out here, is a high time frame drawn price. We are in a premium of this leg here and of our external leg here, right? So it's natural for us to assume we could head for some sell side liquidity and more of a discount in order to mitigate these POIs if we are to continue bullish from this area. As I read out on the 4 hour, though it's clearer on the 1 hour, we had this bullish push, swept all this buy side liquidity from above these highs, and had a massive 1 hour bearish engulfing closeout, which closed that 4 hour imbalance, which held price as support. You can see we had a minor pullback, and we created that overnight Asia range into today over the weekend. So that's a lot more clear on the 1 hour. So now you can see that we've mitigated that buy side liquidity, and price at the moment obviously has no momentum and is just here in the range, and probably has just now liquidated the buy side liquidity from Asia, which we'll see on the M15. But as I was saying, going back to the daily bias and direction, we are in a premium of this 1 hour bullish leg with higher time frame POI price draws below, which could be a draw on price to mitigate. It's the same inversely on DXY. We had that bearish push which took out sell side liquidity into this 4 hour imbalance, right? Went into a 1 hour imbalance POI here, had a massive bullish 1 hour engulfing, and then of course we've created this overnight Asia range. We have our 1 hour POI as a draw on price with imbalance into the premium. So yeah, that agrees with my 4 hour analysis. I think it's given me a better daily bias to head towards our POI price draw, or towards at least sell side liquidity of the previous daily low. We've taken more significant buy side liquidity, though we mitigated this area. We don't yet have that bullish push, but we'll see. So at the moment we have the resting buy side liquidity and sell side liquidity here that we can still target, which now we've swept that buy side liquidity, we may head to the other side. So my bias for the London session is bearish for the shorts. So let's go down to the M15 and see what that shows us. So now onto the M15 here, when I was zoomed in, of course, on the price action. Here's that range over the weekend and into Asia today. What we can clearly see is we've just now had on the London Open that bullish candle, that momentum from the London session open. We swept above these Asia range highs and some previous Friday evening highs. We've taken that buy side liquidity now. On DXY, you can see we've, I think, just about swept those lows as well. We may push down further to make that more clear or have some small divergence. However, price has also gone down there. It seems like it may have swept those lows. Like I said, not so clear at the moment, but price isn't quite finished. It could come above these highs. We don't know that, right? There are, of course, these M15 order blocks here. This could serve as some inducement, so we may just have a little push above that. So what I would like to see from this, going with my possible bias, let's go with the fact that it may sweep up a little bit more, pulls down slightly just to create structure, or use this low here. This may be the M5 structure. So we keep going up, pushing above this high and this high here now for more buy side liquidity, mitigating this order block and imbalance on the M15 some more. And then we break below, maybe a low around here. I'm not sure, we might create that structure up here. So sweep of buy side liquidity above these highs, and then another pullback to our POI imbalance order block on the M15, M5, right? I would want this sweep here to really close as a high test candle, preferably as well, for us to trade down to the other side of Asia, possibly towards this previous daily low. That, of course, would look like this on the DXY. We would break down, sweep below these lows possibly, maybe some of these lows. We may not go as far as this low. So that might be an SMC divergence there. But even if we do match, that would be great into this order block here where it's unmitigated, and then break above, right, towards our previous daily high. Now, the main problem I foresee is the fact that we are kind of close to this previous daily high on DXY. So we may mitigate that buy side liquidity first before we've actually come to the previous daily low on DXY. So we don't know if that's going to cause, you know, a pullback or some bullish behavior there. But that would be the main negative. So let's annotate this. We would have our buy side liquidity from above this high. We would break of structure possibly around this area, or maybe this area, right, if it doesn't create a structure at the top. Possible inducement during the pullback just below our order block and imbalance on the lower time frame, and we'd have our order set around this area, stop loss just above the highs to trade for whatever percentage you aim for. I think that's a good scenario if that plays out. Now we are in the middle of price, but we are in a premium. We have taken internal buy side liquidity, we've broken down on structure, hopefully, right? Like I said, that may be down here. We've broken down on structure, we've pulled back to our POI to continue lower with our bias towards the higher time frame price draw. Again, the negative would be as if we meet this previous daily high first and we take buy side liquidity on DXY, that could cause some sort of bullish reaction with SMC divergence on EU. So I hope that was clear for you. Continuing with a bearish bias, price may need a more significant buy side liquidity than these highs here, but we've spoken through that scenario already. So let's assume we do take this previous daily high first. Let's say price does something similar to this, takes the previous daily and weekly high, closes that as a rejection, and then breaks structure. This I would also trade with, right? Previous weekly and daily high, buy side liquidity, swept, break of structure around this area, pull back to our lower time frame order block and imbalance POI to then continue on the side of liquidity towards the discount. So if we annotate that out now, we would have our buy side liquidity swept up here, break of structure around here, order block with imbalance and possible inducement below, setting our order now to go with liquidity toward the discount, stop loss just above the high. I think that's also a sensible scenario, of course, because we'd have taken some significant highs and that would look great, and possibly we'd have DXY looking like this, right, taking that previous daily low. If not, it could happen around here, respecting its order block, and we'd have SMC divergence, meaning strength in DXY the same way. So that would work out either way. So those are the two sell scenarios that I see. Price is looking quite bullish at the moment, but this is on the M15, so we still have 7 minutes left. Now it's taking that high. We may see a rejection candle close out. We don't know, or it could continue up until this order block. So we'll see how this goes. Price has internally swept this low here. So just on the London Open, we did take this low. We've got this small internal sweep, now a little break of structure, and we may get that pullback. Preferably, I don't really want to trade long in this direction here, in this premium, after taking, you know, these highs. Especially, it depends on how the candle closes out, but we're now into this order block and imbalance, so it's not favorable for me. If I was to long, I would probably prefer it if we rejected this area here and then broke above, right? And as usual, trade like that. So this would probably be my preferred long scenario if I had to go long today in this premium. If price showed something after taking this previous daily high up here, much rather wait for us to come down to this price draw if we do into this discount. So yeah, price looks fairly bullish at the moment. We are closing above highs. We have swept some internal lows. So it wouldn't be surprised if there was a long opportunity here on the M5 or M15 just to go up to the buy side liquidity highs. But I think I'll give that a miss and I'll concentrate on those sell scenarios that I showed. So I hope you gained value from that. I hope that was clear. Any questions, let me know in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.